All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep into a topic that's super fascinating.
And maybe just a little bit edgy.
Right, yeah, a little bit edgy.
You said it.
We're talking about the art of seduction.
Ooh.
And we're going to be using Robert Greene's book, The Art of Seduction, as our guide for this deep dive.
It's a good one.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's not just about, like, the romance aspect.
Right.
It's really about learning how to persuade and influence people.
Yeah.
Not by force or anything like that, but by really understanding what they deeply desire.
What's so interesting about Greene's take is that it goes so much deeper than the surface.
Right.
It almost sees seduction as like a philosophy that you can use in any area of your life, from your relationships to your career.
Yeah, to like really nailing that job interview.
Exactly.
Okay, so how does someone even become like a master seducer?
Right.
Greene talks about these seductive archetypes,
He does.
which are these figures throughout history who just seem to have this power over others.
Yes, and it's not just about being like naturally charming or anything like that.
Right.
Each archetype uses very specific tactics that really play on like human desires
Okay.
and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Take the siren, for example.
Okay.
Think Cleopatra
Mm-hmm.
or Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
They understood the power of projecting an aura of danger and mystery.
Right.
And it just makes people want to lean in.
Like moths to a flame.
It's like moths to a flame, exactly.
Why does that work, though?
Well,
Is it just because we crave like the forbidden?
it's deeper than that.
Okay.
We're wired to be drawn to the unknown.
Interesting.
The siren keeps you guessing, and that uncertainty
All right.
creates anticipation and excitement.
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle that you can't resist trying to solve.
Oh, so they're playing with our curiosity.
Yes.
I'm starting to see how this goes beyond just romantic attraction.
Exactly.
What about the rake? Like
Well-
the classic bad boy who always seems to break all the rules.
Uh-huh.
Why do we fall for that, even when we know better?
Yeah. Well, it goes back to that need for excitement,
Right.
that need for something outside of the ordinary.
Right.
The rake represents a break from the mundane.
Yeah.
They promise a taste of something thrilling,
Yeah.
something a little bit dangerous, which
Right.
can be really alluring.
It's funny how that bad boy image never seems to get old.
It never does.
Really?
It speaks to a very primal part of us.
I guess so.
But it's important to remember that these archetypes aren't just about surface appearances.
Right.
They represent strategies that anyone can learn
Oh.
and adapt to their own personality.
So it's less about fitting into like a specific mold
Mm.
and more about understanding the underlying principles behind these archetypes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Another fascinating archetype is the ideal lover.
Okay.
They are all about reflecting back to someone their ideal self-image.
Interesting.
So Madame de Pompadour, for instance, captivated King Louis XV,
Mm-hmm.
not just through her beauty,
Okay.
but also by understanding his deepest insecurities and desires. She made him feel like the best version of himself.
Almost like tapping into that soulmate fantasy, right?
Absolutely.
Like that desire to be seen and understood completely by another person.
Yes. And that is such a powerful feeling.
Yeah.
You know, we all crave that level of connection,
Totally.
to feel like someone really gets us.
Yeah.
The ideal lover archetype taps into that longing and makes it feel attainable.
Now, Greene also mentions the dandy,
Yes.
someone who cultivates this kind of androgynous and elusive persona
Uh-huh.
that sort of defies definition.
Right.
And I'm thinking here about icons like Oscar Wilde or David Bowie.
Right. Think about the impact they had. And it all goes back to the power of this archetype.
Are they-
The dandy challenges norms
Right.
and suggests a kind of freedom that's incredibly alluring.
Interesting.
They make people question their assumptions and
Right.
open their minds to new possibilities.
Then there's the natural,
Mm-hmm.
full of childlike charm and a carefree spirit.
Yes.
Greene uses Josephine Baker as an example here.
She embodied this archetype perfectly.
Yeah.
She combined her adult experience
Right.
with a playful demeanor that was
Yeah.
just infectious.
It's about capturing that genuine joy and energy that we often lose as adults,
Absolutely.
which can be incredibly disarming.
Yes, especially in a world that's so focused on achievement and status.
That's like being around someone who reminds you of the simple joys of life,
Right.
of not taking everything so seriously.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about the coquette,
Ooh, the coquette.
the one who plays the game of push and pull,
Yes.
keeping people on their toes.
Uh-huh.
Napoleon's infatuation with Josephine is a classic example, right?
Yes. The coquette is a master of strategic withholding.
Okay.
They alternate between attention and distance,
Right.
creating kind of an emotional roller coaster.
Interesting.
And that keeps the target constantly guessing,
Right.
which intensifies their desire.
It's like they're always just slightly out of reach,
Yes,
which makes you want them even more.
exactly.
So then we have the charmer.
Mm-hmm.
This is the person who just radiates warmth.
Yeah.
It makes everyone feel good in their presence.
Yeah.
I'm immediately connecting this to the importance of emotional intelligence,
Absolutely crucial.
especially when it comes to like leadership and influence.
It's not just about what you say,
Right?
but it's about how you make people feel.
Yeah.
The charmer understands that genuine connection is the key to building trust and rapport,
Right.
which are essential for persuasion.
So it's about creating that sense of safety and comfort
Yes.
where people can let their guard down and be themselves.
Exactly.
Greene even includes the anti-seducer,
He does.
who isn't traditionally charming, but still has this magnetic pull.
Yeah.
He uses Lenin as an example.
It's a fascinating example
Yeah.
of how seduction can work in unexpected ways.
Okay.
Lenin's appeal came from his unwavering determination and clear vision,
Right.
which really resonated with people during a time of great uncertainty and upheaval.
So it's like he was offering them a sense of stability and direction
Right.
in a world that felt chaotic.
Exactly.
It shows that seduction isn't always about outward charm.
Huh?
It can come from embodying qualities that people crave in a particular moment or context.
Yeah.
And finally, there's the liberator,
The liberator.
who channels the anger and frustration of a group
Mm-hmm.
and offers them a path to freedom and empowerment.
Yeah, figures like Malcolm X come to mind.
Yeah.
The liberator taps into those deep, often unspoken emotions
Right?
that are simmering beneath the surface of society.
Okay.
They give voice to those feelings
Uh-huh.
and offer a vision of a better future,
Okay.
which can be incredibly powerful.
So it's about connecting with people on an emotional level,
Yes.
understanding their pain points,
Right.
and offering a solution that resonates with their deepest desires for change.
It's about making them feel seen and heard,
Right.
like their voices matter.
And that's a really powerful feeling,
It is.
especially for those who feel marginalized or oppressed.
Absolutely.
There's already so much to think about.
It is.
We've got these different archetypes, each with their own unique strategies.
Mhm.
But what are some of the specific techniques that make seduction so effective?
Right.
What can people actually do to apply these principles in their own lives?
Well, this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Greene delves into the psychology of persuasion,
Yeah.
and some of his insights are surprisingly counterintuitive.
Like what?
For example, he talks about stirring the pot.
Stirring the pot.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound very seductive.
It might seem strange,
Yeah.
but it's about shaking someone out of their comfort zone.
Okay.
By creating a sense of insecurity or discontent,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually make them more receptive to your influence.
So you're saying that by making someone feel a little bit off balance, you can actually make them more open to new possibilities,
Exactly.
including the possibility of being seduced by you.
It's about creating a void that you can then fill with
Well.
your own ideas,
Okay.
your own vision,
Uh-huh.
or even just your own presence.
Okay. I can see how that could be incredibly powerful,
Right.
especially if you're trying to introduce like a new idea
Yeah.
or persuade someone to see things from your perspective.
Think about it this way. If someone is completely content with their life,
Okay.
they're less likely to be open to change.
Yeah.
But if you can introduce a little bit of doubt,
Uh-huh.
a little bit of dissatisfaction,
Okay.
it can make them more receptive to new possibilities.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like you're creating a need that they didn't even know they had,
Right.
and then you're there to fulfill that need.
It's not about manipulating people or
Right.
taking advantage of their vulnerabilities.
Okay.
It's about understanding their psychology and using that knowledge to guide them towards a desired outcome.
Okay, so stirring the pot is one tactic.
Uh-huh.
What else does Greene recommend?
He talks about mastering the art of illusion, which is all about crafting an experience that fulfills someone's deepest fantasies.
Interesting.
Think about how carefully curated a movie set is.
Okay.
The lighting, the music, the costumes, all work together to create a world that feels real,
Right.
even though it's completely fabricated.
So you're saying that in seduction, you're essentially creating a stage for your target,
Yes,
a world where their desires and dreams feel within reach.
it's about appealing to their emotions,
Yeah.
their senses, their subconscious desires.
Okay.
Think about the story of Bernard Borscout and Shi Peipu.
Okay.
Borscout was a French diplomat.
Right.
He fell deeply in love with Peipu, a Peking opera singer,
Mm-hmm.
not realizing that Peipu was actually a man.
Wow. That's a pretty extreme example of illusion.
It is.
Yeah.
And what's even more chilling is that their affair was orchestrated by the Chinese government.
Wow.
To gather intelligence.
Crazy.
It shows how illusion can be used for manipulation.
Right.
But it also highlights the power of creating a world that's so compelling, so alluring that people lose themselves in it.
So it's about crafting an experience that's so immersive,
Yes.
so captivating, that people willingly suspend their disbelief.
Think about how brands create lifestyle images in their advertising.
Right.
They're not just selling a product.
Yeah.
They're selling a feeling, an experience, a vision of a better life.
Okay, so we've talked about stewing the pot and mastering the art of illusion. What other strategies does Greene explore?
He talks about using spiritual lures, which is about appealing to people's higher ideals and spiritual yearnings.
Okay.
Think about the power of a charismatic religious leader or a motivational speaker who inspires you to believe in something greater than yourself.
Right.
So it's about tapping into people's innate desire for meaning and purpose.
Exactly.
We all want to feel like our lives have significance, that we're part of something bigger than ourselves.
Right.
And when you can tap into that desire, it creates a powerful bond.
Greene uses the example of Natalie Barney, a Parisian salon hostess, who used art and poetry to create this kind of spiritual seduction.
Interesting.
She cultivated a space where intellectual and artistic expression became intertwined with romance and desire.
And don't forget about Rasputin.
Right.
The infamous Russian mystic.
Yeah.
He blended spirituality and sensuality, creating a kind of intoxicating allure that drew many people into his orbit.
So it's about creating an experience that transcends the everyday.
Yeah.
That offers a glimpse of something more profound and meaningful.
Think about how brands use aspirational marketing to create a sense of longing for a more fulfilling life.
Right.
They're tapping into that same human desire for transcendence.
It's fascinating how these same principles can be applied in so many different contexts.
It is.
And that's what makes Greene's work so compelling.
Right.
He's not just giving you like a set of pickup lines or dating tips.
Right.
He's offering a deep dive into the psychology of persuasion and influence.
Yeah.
Which can be applied to every aspect of your life.
It's about becoming a master of human psychology.
Right.
Understanding what makes people tick. And using that knowledge to achieve your goals.
Well, this is already giving me a lot to think about.
It is.
And it sounds like we've only just scratched the surface.
We have.
There's still so much more to explore in Greene's book. But for now,
yeah,
let's take a quick break.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll delve deeper into the specific strategies that make seduction so effective.
Sounds good.
And we'll discuss how you can start using these principles in your own life.
I like it. It's fascinating how all these different elements,
I know, right?
from understanding the archetypes to the actual strategies,
Yeah.
all work together to create this, like,
It's a whole thing.
it's intricate, right?
It's very intricate.
It really is.
It's like a carefully crafted dance.
Yes. And
Yeah.
speaking of choreography,
Right.
Greene talks about this idea of stage setting, using the physical environment to your advantage.
Oh.
Think about Pauline Bonaparte,
Mm-hmm.
Napoleon's sister.
Right.
She had this elaborate artificial grotto built in her garden,
Wow.
complete with hidden rooms and a luxurious bath.
Wow. So over the top?
I know.
But like she was going for it.
Totally. It was all about intrigue and romance.
Right.
It was all very calculated.
I see. So are you saying that just like a stage set for a play, the right environment can influence someone's mood
Absolutely.
and make them more receptive to what you're putting forward?
We all respond to our surroundings.
Yeah.
Think about it. A dimly lit restaurant with soft music
Right.
creates a completely different mood than like a brightly lit coffee shop.
Totally different vibe.
Right, so it's about setting the stage to evoke the emotions and responses you want.
It makes total sense.
Yes.
It's like setting the mood
Yes.
for the interaction you're hoping to create.
Exactly.
Okay, and then there's the power of isolation.
Ah, yes.
Isolation.
Greene talks about shishi.
This Chinese beauty who was sent as a gift to the King of Wu.
Okay.
Okay, so she was kept in his palace, surrounded by all this beauty and luxury.
Right.
But also isolated from her familiar world.
Yes.
Okay.
And this just made her even more alluring and mysterious.
But the exotic element adds another layer of intrigue, right?
Really.
The unknown and unfamiliar can be very seductive.
Think about how travel companies market far-off destinations.
Right.
They're playing on that same desire for something different.
Yeah.
Something outside our everyday experience.
So it's about creating a sense of escape.
Yes.
A world apart from the mundane.
A world apart.
And that's a really powerful concept.
It is.
Okay, and speaking of powerful concepts,
Okay.
Greene also dives into this idea of stirring up a target's past.
The past.
To create a deeper connection.
Interesting.
Hold on. How do you seduce someone with their past?
Well,
That sounds a bit like emotional archaeology.
you're closer than you think.
Oh.
It's not about literally recreating their past,
Okay.
but it is about understanding the emotional landscape
Okay.
of their formative experiences.
Okay, so what shaped them?
Exactly.
What were the defining moments that made them who they are today?
Yes.
Right?
Those are the things you want to understand.
Okay, so it's about listening to their stories
Yes.
and paying attention to the emotions that they reveal,
Right.
the things they choose to emphasize
Yeah.
or downplay.
It's about becoming an expert on their emotional world.
It's a lot of work.
It is.
Okay, and what else?
Pay attention to any unresolved conflicts
Okay.
or emotional wounds from their past,
Okay.
because these are the areas where they're most vulnerable
Right.
and where they might be seeking healing or resolution.
So you're not like exploiting their vulnerabilities.
No.
But showing empathy and understanding.
Yes, making them feel seen and heard.
Right.
It's about creating a safe space
Uh-huh.
for them to process those emotions
Right.
and feel a deep sense of connection with you.
This is fascinating.
It is.
But it also sounds like it requires a lot of sensitivity and awareness.
It does.
Okay.
And it's important to remember that seduction is a delicate dance.
Mm-hmm.
It's about persuasion, not manipulation.
Right. Speaking of manipulation,
Okay.
Greene also talks about these moral seduction tactics,
Oh, yes.
which sound a little bit more ethically questionable.
A little bit.
Like, is this okay?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, these strategies play on the target's desire
Okay.
to be seen as good
Yeah.
or virtuous.
Mm-hmm.
They appeal to their moral compass,
Right.
but often with ulterior motives.
Okay, so like what kind of examples are we talking about?
Think about Madame de Tourvel
Okay.
in Dangerous Liaisons.
Right, okay.
She's a devoutly religious woman
Yeah.
who is seduced by this notorious rake Valmont.
Right, and he pretends to have like a spiritual conversion,
Exactly.
which leads her to believe that she can redeem him with her love.
Right. It's a classic example of exploiting someone's moral beliefs
Yeah.
to gain their trust and affection.
And it's not just limited to romantic relationships, is it?
It's not.
I've seen this used in advertising campaigns
All the time.
where brands try to associate themselves with social causes
Uh-huh.
to appeal to consumers' values.
Absolutely. It's about using the target's own values as leverage
Yeah.
to influence their decisions and actions.
So it's a reminder to be aware of these tactics
Be aware.
and to really question the motives
Uh-huh.
of anyone who seems a little too eager
Yeah.
to appeal to our sense of morality.
Absolutely. It's about being discerning and
Right.
protecting ourselves from manipulation,
Right.
even if it's disguised as something noble or righteous.
Now let's talk about transgression.
Transgression.
Okay, so Greene argues that creating a sense of forbidden pleasure
Right.
can make a seduction even more potent.
Oh, for sure. Think about it. What's
Yeah.
more tempting, the apple you can easily pick from the tree, or the one that's just out of reach?
It's human nature to want what we can't have.
It is.
Yeah.
Transgression taps into our primal desire
Uh-huh.
for rebellion, for experiencing something
Yeah.
outside the confines of social norms.
It's the allure of the forbidden fruit.
It is.
This reminds me of the rake archetype,
Uh-huh.
who embodies that sense of danger and rule breaking.
Think about the legend of Don Juan,
Oh, yeah.
the ultimate seducer.
Right.
He captivated women by making them feel like they were participating
Mhm.
in something illicit and exciting.
Right. It was like their little secret.
It was a shared secret, a transgression that created a powerful bond.
It's like creating a shared world, a space where the rules of everyday life are suspended,
Yes.
even if just for a moment.
It can be intoxicating.
Right.
It's about offering a taste of freedom and adventure, something that many people crave in their lives.
This is fascinating stuff.
It is.
Greene also talks about using regressive tactics to tap into a target's childhood desires.
Interesting.
What does he mean by that?
Think about the emotional imprints of our early experiences.
Right.
We all have these core desires that were formed in childhood longings for comfort,
Yeah.
security, playfulness, and you can actually tap into these desires to create a sense of familiarity and even a bit of nostalgia.
So it's not about treating someone like a child.
No.
But about understanding the emotional language of their childhood.
Exactly.
And using it to connect with them on a deeper level.
Think about Errol Flynn.
Okay, yeah, the Hollywood heartthrob.
Yes, he was known for his charm, and part of that came from his ability to make women feel like they were escaping the constraints of adulthood.
Right.
And returning to a more carefree time.
Like he would take them on these adventures,
Yes.
swimming in a river or exploring a jungle.
Exactly.
It was all about creating that sense of childlike wonder and excitement.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Because it tapped into those primal desires for spontaneity and playfulness.
Yeah.
It made them feel alive and connected in a way that they might not have experienced in their adult lives.
So it's about creating a space where people can let their guard down.
Yes.
And reconnect with that playful, uninhibited part of themselves.
It's about creating an atmosphere of trust and safety.
Okay.
Where they feel comfortable expressing their authentic selves.
Okay. I can see how that would be incredibly disarming and attractive.
It's like offering a temporary escape from the pressures and responsibilities of adulthood.
Now, I'm curious about the physical aspect of seduction.
Okay.
Does Greene offer any insights into that?
He emphasizes the importance of paying attention to nonverbal cues.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to recognizing the moment.
So it's about being attuned to the other person's body language. There are subtle signals of interest and desire.
Right, like a blush, a lingering glance, or a change in their tone of voice.
Exactly. It's about reading the situation and responding accordingly.
And a lot of seductions fail.
Really?
Because people are so focused on their own desires, on making their move, that they completely miss the signs.
Right.
That the other person isn't ready or receptive.
It's like missing the forest for the trees.
It is.
You're so fixated on your own agenda that you fail to see the bigger picture.
Exactly. And that's where patience and observation come in.
Okay.
It's about being present in the moment.
Yeah.
Tuned to those subtle cues and responding in a way that respects the other person's boundaries and desires.
So it's not just about making a move.
Right.
It's about creating a space where the other person feels comfortable and safe enough to reciprocate those feelings.
It's about making them feel desired and appreciated.
Right.
Not just for their physical appearance, but for who they are as a person.
Greene also talks about the importance of appealing to someone's vanity. Making them feel special. He uses the example of Ibn Hazm, this 11th century writer who said, nothing conquers a woman more surely than the belief that she is loved.
It's about acknowledging their worth.
Right.
Making them feel seen and understood. And it's not just about flattery.
Right.
It's about expressing genuine admiration and appreciation.
So it's about making them feel like they're the only person in the world who matters to you in that moment.
And that can be incredibly intoxicating.
Yeah.
It's about creating a connection that feels special and unique, something that transcends the ordinary.
But isn't there a risk of coming across as too intense?
There is.
Or even desperate?
Yeah.
If you focus too much on making someone feel special.
There's definitely a balanced strike.
Right.
It's about being sincere and genuine in your admiration without being overbearing or possessive.
Yeah. So it's about finding that sweet spot.
Yes.
Between expressing your feelings and giving the other person the space to respond in their own time and way.
Seduction is a dance, not a conquest.
I like that.
It's about moving together in a way that feels natural and pleasurable for both partners.
This is all incredibly insightful.
Good.
But I'm also wondering about the role of boldness and audacity in seduction.
Boldness.
Greene talks about this courtesan Ninon de l'Enclos, who is known for her fearlessness and willingness to break social conventions.
Ninon understood the power of the unexpected gesture.
Okay.
The bold move that throws your target off balance.
Right.
And makes them desire you even more.
So it's about breaking through their defenses?
Yes.
But in a way that's exciting and intriguing?
Right.
Rather than threatening or overwhelming?
It's about challenging their expectations and creating a sense of anticipation.
Okay.
Think about a surprise gift or a spontaneous adventure. It's the element of surprise that makes it so exciting.
But timing is crucial, right?
Timing is crucial.
Bold move at the wrong moment.
Yeah.
Could backfire spectacularly.
It could.
So it's about reading the situation, gauging their receptivity.
Yes.
And then making your move with confidence and conviction.
Confidence is key.
And if you're not sure,
right,
it's always better to err on the side of caution.
I agree.
So it's about being bold, but also being sensitive to the other person's cues and boundaries.
And boldness doesn't always have to be grand or dramatic.
Okay.
Sometimes it's the subtle gesture, the unexpected compliment,
the
knowing glance that speaks volumes.
So it's about finding the right balance.
Yes.
Between boldness and restraint, depending on the situation and the person you're interacting with.
And don't forget the power of playfulness and teasing.
Oh, yeah.
Greene uses Casanova as an example here.
Right.
Casanova was the ultimate charmer.
Yeah.
He knew how to use banter and double entendres to create a sense of lightheartedness and fun.
So he understood that seduction is a game.
Yes.
And that the best way to win is to make it enjoyable for both players.
Exactly. If it becomes too serious or intense, it loses its appeal.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between seriousness and playfulness, between passion and lightheartedness.
It is.
And it's about creating a sense of complicity with your target.
Yes. Greene talks about the floating world in Japanese culture.
Right.
This realm of pleasure and escape from everyday responsibilities.
It's like creating a shared world, a secret bubble.
A secret bubble.
Where the rules of everyday life are suspended.
Yeah.
And anything is possible.
And that can be incredibly seductive because it offers a taste of freedom and transgression.
Yeah.
It's like a shared adventure, a secret that only the two of you share.
It's fascinating how all these elements come together.
It is.
To create such a complex and nuanced art form.
And I think it's important to emphasize that Greene's book is about so much more than just getting someone into bed.
Right.
It's a deep dive into the psychology of human connection. Yeah. Influence and persuasion.
Right. It's about understanding what makes people tick.
Exactly.
And using that knowledge to create more fulfilling and meaningful relationships.
Yes, both personal and professional.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's about mastering the art of communication and connection, which are essential skills for anyone who wants to succeed in life.
And it's about using that power responsibly and ethically.
Right.
Seduction can be a powerful tool for good, but it can also be used for manipulation and exploitation.
So it's about being aware of the potential consequences of our actions and using our knowledge of seduction to create positive and lasting change.
Yes.
Both in our own lives and the world around us.
That's the ultimate goal, to use our understanding of human psychology to build bridges, create connections, and make the world a more beautiful and fulfilling place.
Well, this has been an incredible journey.
It has.
Into the world of seduction.
It really has.
We've covered so much ground.
We have.
From understanding the different seductive archetypes to exploring these specific strategies that make seduction so effective. But before we wrap up, I want to ask you, what's been like the most valuable takeaway for you?
Ooh, good question.
From this deep dive? I think for me, it's been realizing that seduction isn't this like dark art practiced only by a select few. It's really about understanding human nature and using that knowledge ethically.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I completely agree. The most important thing to remember is that seduction at its core is about understanding and influencing how people think and feel.
Right.
It's about recognizing, those deep-seated desires and vulnerabilities that we all have and learning how to appeal to them in a way that's both effective and ethical.
It makes you think about all the ways that we're being seduced every day without even realizing it. Like advertising, marketing, even the way politicians craft their speeches.
Totally.
It's all about tapping into our desires and fears.
We are constantly being influenced, whether we're aware of it or not.
Yeah, it's kind of scary when you think about it.
It is.
And that's why it's so important to be aware of these strategies.
Right.
To understand how they work and to develop our own sense of discernment.
Exactly.
So it's about becoming more conscious of these subtle ways we're being persuaded and influenced.
Right.
And then making intentional choices.
Yeah.
About how we respond to those messages.
It's about empowering ourselves to be more critical thinkers.
Right.
To question the motives behind these persuasive messages.
Right.
And make decisions that align with our own values and goals.
Now, Greene's book explores both the positive and the negative aspects of seduction. He doesn't shy away from the fact that these strategies can be used for manipulation and exploitation.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that brings us to a really important question.
Okay.
For you, our listener.
Okay.
If these techniques are so effective, how do we ensure that they're being used ethically?
That is the question.
Where do we draw the line
Right.
between persuasion and manipulation?
It's a tough one.
It is.
I don't think there's an easy answer.
I agree.
But it's definitely a question worth wrestling with.
Yeah.
Especially as we navigate a world where we're constantly being bombarded with persuasive messages.
I think one key difference is intention.
Right, intense.
Are you using these strategies to genuinely connect with someone and create like a mutually beneficial relationship?
Okay.
Or are you trying to exploit their vulnerabilities for your own gain?
So it's about being honest with ourselves.
Yes, be honest with yourself.
About our motives.
About your motive.
Are we approaching this interaction from a place of authenticity and respect?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we trying to manipulate the other person to get what we want?
And it's also about recognizing the power dynamics at play.
The power dynamics.
Are you in a position of authority?
Right.
Or influence over the other person?
Yeah, like, are you their boss?
Right, exactly. If so, you need to be extra careful about how you use these techniques.
Because that power imbalance can make it really easy to cross that line. Right. Persuasion to coercion.
It's about being mindful of the impact our words and actions have on others.
Totally.
Especially those who may be more vulnerable or susceptible to influence.
It's a delicate balance.
It is.
But I think it's a conversation we need to be having.
I agree.
As we become more aware of the psychology of seduction, we also need to become more aware of the ethical implications.
For sure.
This entire conversation has been so eye-opening.
It has been.
It's really shifted my perspective on seduction.
Good.
And I hope it's done the same for you, our listener.
We've explored a lot of fascinating concepts today.
Yeah.
From the different seductive archetypes to those specific strategies that make seduction so effective.
Right.
But ultimately, it's up to each of us to use this knowledge wisely and ethically.
It's about remembering
that
seduction isn't just about getting what you want.
Right.
It's about creating genuine connection. Yes. Fostering trust and using your influence to make a positive impact on the world.
And I think that's the most seductive prospect of all.
Okay, I like that.
The power to connect with others on a deep and meaningful level, to inspire them, to empower them, and to make a difference in their lives.
Well said. This has been a truly fascinating deep dive into the art of seduction.
It really has.
We hope you've enjoyed listening as much as we've enjoyed discussing it. If you're interested in exploring these ideas further, we highly recommend checking out Robert Greene's book, The Art of Seduction.
Good one.
It's a thought-provoking and insightful read.
And remember, seduction is a lifelong art.
Yeah.
A practice of continuous learning and refinement.
Keep at it.
So stay curious.
Yeah.
Stay open to new perspectives and keep exploring the fascinating complexities of human connection.
Until next time.
See ya.